Welcome to Hamilton.
So I'm about 4 years too late to the Hamilton train, and about 9 months out from my last mediocre video, but since I watched Hamilton for the first time, it's become one of my favourite musicals. And my first viewing was a month ago, but my point still stands. Unlike a lot of musicals such as Chicago, where a decent chunk of the movie is not songs, Hamilton is practically all music. And great music at that. There's a total of 46 tracks on the soundtrack, ranging from less than a minute to 5 and 6 minute songs. So I decided today, for my first video in a long time, I should put them all in a tier list. S, A, B, C, D, you know the format by now. But with this absolutely insane number of songs, I'm going to have to be quite brief on each of them. So there'll be a lot of songs where I might say less than a sentence. And then there'll be 1 or 2 songs where I talk for a minute or so. 46 songs, let's put them all in a tier list. Let's do this. The introduction to the play has become one of the most iconic and memeable songs in the entire musical. It is truly one of the best songs here, with a lot of different characters singing different parts, with Bert and Eliza doing, in my opinion, the best. It generally is just a really good way of starting the whole play and introducing us to A tier.
Pardon me, are you Aaron Burr, sir?
The actual introduction to Bert does work well. We get to know him a lot more than him just being the guy who shoots Hamilton. It also shows his repeated philosophy of
Talk less, smile more. I am not throwing away my shot.
Potentially the most repeated part of this film is I'm just like my country, young, scrappy and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. But outside of that, My Shot is actually an amazing song. I never really realised it until now about how good this song is from a rapping ability. Or from a music ability, but this is one I will go back to a lot more now that I've realised that. It has some of the best rapping in this entire musical. A tier.
They'll tell the story of tonight.
Our first D tier song, Story Tonight, is fine. There are no bad songs here, but it's dull and it's only a minute and a half long. Nothing too bad, but nothing memorable. The sisters themselves, mainly Eliza of course, are probably my favourite part of the play, and this is a solid introduction to them. Angelica's flow on the final section also brilliantly gets us ready for Satisfied later on. Why is this song called Farmer Refuted? It's basically just a setup to the introduction of King George, one of the most entertaining characters. Some funny lines, but not too memorable with a dumb name.
You'll be back soon.
The actor who plays King George has one of the best voices in the entire musical, and whilst this song does come back 2 more times, the first one is absolutely the best of the 3. Finally introduced to George Washington here, and it immediately establishes his relationship with Hamilton. It's a really good song to be fair, but it is a little bit too long in my opinion, which is quite unique since the majority of this soundtrack and the majority of the play's songs are quite short.
We're reliable with the ladies.
Every time I see the name of the song, I genuinely forget what it is. There's a couple of other songs later on that are like that, but this one is really just a setup for the next 2 amazing songs. Definitely the shining spot for Eliza here. Most people usually say Burn is her best, but I actually think she steals the show right here. And somehow it immediately gets better. Well, here we are. Our first S tier of the video. I don't think Angelica and Hamilton's story is historically accurate. However, I'm not too bothered with that because this song is just amazing. Angelica's actor does an amazing job showing her point of view of Hamilton and Eliza's meeting and marriage, and her conscience getting the better of her. Her voice is somehow absolutely beautiful even as she raps really quickly. Definitely top 3 in the musical. Most people would probably put this below the original Story Tonight, but due to the general lack of profanity in the play, whenever he uses it, it works quite well.
She's married to a British officer. Oh shit.
And here is a clear example. C tier. One of the most impactful musical moments in the entire play, Burr does an absolutely amazing job expressing his love here. Despite the fact he is generally seen as the antagonist in Hamilton's life, you can't help but care for him a little bit. There's 2 sides to every story.
I have never seen the general, so to speak.
Another song that just immediately leads into a better one. Stay Alive is solid, it shows the struggles of the war with the budget being so low, but it's not a high point of the first half here. This song perfectly shows the rules of duels. That rhymed. Which obviously comes back in 2 other main duels later on, and some of the best rhyming in the entire play here too.
Hamilton, sir, meet me inside.
This is just like when someone gets called into the principal's office, but in a song. Hamilton when yelling at Washington is also a genuinely impactful moment here.
Need you, son, one more time!
Just stay alive, that would be enough.
One of the more emotional songs, Eliza excels in anything she does in this play.
We rendezvous with Rochambeau, consolidate their gifts. We can end.
Another song that I just generally don't know what it is until I actually listen to it. This is where Hamilton is finally given command by Washington, something that he has wished for basically the entire play up to this point.
Knowing history has its art.
Who lives, who dies, who tells your story. Obviously the sentiment comes back in a way more memorable way later on, but it works quite well here. Forgettable song though. The first half of Hamilton is obviously about the Revolutionary War, so Yorktown is very important as it is when the British forces finally surrender. It also features probably the loudest moment from the audience throughout the entire play.
Immigrants, we get the job done. I'm so blue.
Georgie!
I'll do whatever it takes.
Hamilton and Burr both singing simultaneously about their newborn children is quite beautiful. It's never a song I go back to, but I'm not going to complain.
Man, the man is non-stop.
The final song of the first half is the best song of the entire musical, immediate S tier. But let's explore this a little bit more than any other song, at least any song up to this point. It's the only song on the soundtrack over 6 minutes long, and it totally deserves that runtime. Going through multiple sections, and the constantly repeated, "How do you write like you're running out of time?" which appears again throughout the film, especially in the final song. But the best part of this is either Hamilton wrote the other 51 with complete raw energy, or the entire cast singing the main line at the end of the track. Non-Stop has been the one I go back to the most alongside the title track, and one that's coming up in a couple. Intermission. For the majority of the second half of the musical, Jefferson is seen as the main antagonist, until Burr obviously. He doesn't even feature in the first half of the film, but his introduction here is really funky and immediately made him a fan favourite.
Don't act surprised, you guys, cause I wrote them.
Just a really fun way of presenting a cabinet battle. It's a rap battle, quite an even one by the way.
Take a break.
I'm on my
He probably should have taken a break instead of, cheating on his wife. But this song is nothing really, it just sets up the vastly superior. Jasmine Jones has an absolutely earth-shaking voice as Miss Reynolds. When I watched this film again to make the tier list, I was not expecting this song to be A tier, but her vocals make it undeniable in my opinion.
And here's the pièce de résistance. No one else was in the room where it happened.
Come on, it's the room where it happens. It's generally considered the best track here, and for good reason. It's an easy S tier. Personally, I don't see it to be as good as Non-Stop, but it is the one I go back to potentially the most along with that one. And this song has such amazing parts, whether it be in the opening of this song, or Hamilton finally getting his debt plan through, selling New York City down the river. It's just a perfect song. One of the best musical songs ever in my opinion.
They don't need to know me, they don't like you. Excuse
Forgettable and short. D tier.
Hey, and if you don't know, now you know.
It's not as good as the first cabinet battle, but the King Louis head bit is pretty funny, and I like to see Hamilton beating Jefferson, even if it is a bit of protagonist bias.
Must be nice, it must be nice.
This song is better in hindsight with the election of 1800, but this version is good, if nothing we haven't heard before.
One last time.
Washington stepping down as president was absolutely one of the most significant moments in the life of Hamilton, as it started the downward spiral of his political career, and it is treated with the gravity it deserves.
Tear each other into pieces, Jesus Christ, it will be fun.
If you were just watching the play and don't know much about history, it seems like a surefire thing that Jefferson was going to be president. So John Adams winning was quite a twist to a lot of people.
John Adams?
But a welcome one. This is the last time, sadly, we properly see George and the last time we actually hear him sing, though he does appear in a couple of scenes after this.
Sit down, John, you fat mother!
Just a boring lead-in, isn't it? It's like 45 seconds.
Situated by virtue of your position.
Though virtue is not a word I'd apply.
It's too iconic for me not to love. Along with Alexander Hamilton, this is the biggest meme from the play, but this is actually quite good to be fair. Hamilton's final verse is great, but come on, we need to hear that version.
If I can prove that I never touched my balls, will you promise not to tell another soul what you saw?
In the eye of a hurricane there is quiet.
This is another song that's more of a lead-in than anything, but here it actually has some substance and length to it. Builds quite well as well.
The Reynolds pamphlet.
I don't know if this is how it actually happened in real life, but him making Jefferson, Burr and Madison promise not to tell anyone about his infidelity and then immediately publishing it doesn't make much sense to me. But even if this song is forgettable and a bit boring, it's one of the most important as it shows basically the death of his chance of presidency.
Never gonna be president now. We're never gonna be president now.
Oh, sweet Jesus. I know I said Helpless is the best Eliza is in the play, and I still do agree with myself there, but it's close. This is one of the most heartbreaking songs in the entire play, and it's an amazing way of showing Eliza dealing with Hamilton's infidelity.
Across the river in Jersey. Everything is legal in New Jersey.
Philip Hamilton is a very important character in this movie, even if he isn't seen that much. That Would Be Enough was obviously about Eliza getting pregnant with him, but 19 years old, Philip has his own duel in one of the most heartbreaking moments of the film. Nope, never mind, this is the most heartbreaking moment.
There are moments that the words don't reach.
In real life it might have made sense why Eliza forgave Hamilton so quickly, but in the play it felt way too quick. Like it was like 3 songs between her reacting to his infidelity and then her forgiving him. Not great pacing in my opinion.
Can we get back to politics?
Please.
Yeah.
Might be my most controversial one here. I'm yet to see a ranking where this song is in the top 20, and here it is in A tier for me. It's a weird transition from the heartbreak, but sure it worked. Hamilton also endorsing his enemy Thomas Jefferson for president is a huge moment, and it truly ends the friendship between Hamilton and Burr.
Jefferson has my vote. Your obedient servant.
The final 4 songs of the musical build up quite nicely to Hamilton and Burr's duel. Sadly, this is the weakest of the 4.
Best of wives and best.
So you might ask me, why is Your Obedient Servant, a song that's like 2.5 minutes long, worse than Best of Wives, which is 47 seconds? I don't know.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
This is absolutely the best duel track of the 3. Sure, 10 Duel Commandment is great, but the first half of this being a retrospective from Burr before immediately going into Hamilton's narrative right as the bullet is fired, no music, just Miranda talking about Hamilton's life, seeing his son, mother, George Washington, and then telling Eliza to hold on before his death, shooting into the sky the exact same as he told his son to do.
He aims his pistol at the sky. Wait!
There's no way I can't give this an A tier. A tribute to Hamilton from the rest of the characters, it beginning with a short snippet that Washington speaks in History Has Its Eyes on You, and then Eliza coming in at the end and speaking about the rest of her life, dedicated to preserving Hamilton's image and the orphanage. It truly is just a perfect way to end the whole play. A tier, easily. So that's my list. I guess I should finally start uploading properly now that I have a laptop, instead of just using a Galaxy A13 to edit. Within the next 2 weeks, hopefully, I should upload my Oscars Best Picture 2025 nominees ranking. Probably find a better title for that one as well. I also plan to finally get around to watching Citizen Kane, so I may do a review on that one as well. Oh look, I finally watched Citizen Kane, one of the best movies of all time. Knowing me, I'll find it mediocre, just like I did with Pet Sounds. Thanks for watching.